Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Today we are going to have a talk with Shaykh Aleey Abdul Qadir. I hope that it's going to be benefit to us. Assalamualaikum, Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, what we need to talk about?
Okay, our first question is, can you explain the terms Awaluddin Makrifatullah?
Okay, so when you talk about Awaluddin Makrifatullah, is the aspect of knowing the source, knowing the origin. So this question is very fundamental question in any tradition, in any individual or any person in life. It's always about this great question, and we can simplify the great question into 5 questions. Where does everything come from? Who owns everything? How do you know what you know? And where are you going? And what you're supposed to do? The fact that we're constantly doing something all the time.
Our duty.
Yeah, act and action, we do something to the point when a baby comes to the world. If it manifests just no motion, then the doctor and the nurses, they're going to be in state to make sure there is movement. Okay, that movement indicates doing something, because life is about motion and motionless. What is life? There is no motion, low quality of life. If someone have life but paralyzed, then it's a bit low quality. So life is always connected to the center of motion and motionless. So that motion and motionless, then bear question, what you're really supposed to direct that mode of doing and not doing. So in order to put that right, these 5 great questions play a major role in life activity, in transforming your natural interests and activity. So, where does everything come from? Who owns everything? How do you know what you know? Epistemology, the sciences that study science, knowledge that study knowledge itself. You know, what are the parameters of knowledge? How you define knowledge? Why you say something is something? Why you say that? Why you never say another name for that thing? And that's epistemology. So episteme is very interesting aspect of knowledge. So that is the 3rd question. How do you know what you know? And the 4th is that, where are you going? فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? And the 5th is connected with what you're supposed to do. Okay, so now that Awaluddin Ma'rifatullah, it encompasses these 5 great questions. Okay, and in fact, all the knowledge that you seek, it reinforces in one way or another those 5 great questions. Okay, especially the teaching of Mohamed sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the teaching of Islam, the teaching of prophethood. Okay, so it's very much centralized on those 5 great questions, because all the teaching that brought by the prophet, we can summarize in that 5 great questions and been answered by the 4 aspect of teaching, which is the whole teaching of the prophet. The first is connected with uluhiyah, so the idea of God, and then Nabawiyah, the idea of prophet, and then Al-Hashar, the idea of the day that everyone is going to be taken into account, the next life, and then Adala is the aspect of justice. So where does everything come from? Who owns everything? That's connected to the question of God. So everything comes from God, and God, that is the one that owns everything. How do you know what you know? You know what you know through Muhammad Rasul. Okay. And then you know what you know through the Prophet, through the Messenger of God. Okay? Even though there's two traditions, one tradition of transmission, which is the tradition of prophethood, another tradition which tradition of discoveries, where they reject the Prophet. Okay, so for the people of the Prophet, they accept those aspect of discoveries, but those discoveries does not rule out or nullify or cancel out that aspect of prophethood and godliness. Okay. Then the fourth question is that where are you going? That we answered by al-hashar. So you're going for the next life. You're going to the next life. So life is a journey. So you're going somewhere, and that place that you're going is towards permanency. And then the fifth question is connected to adalah, justice. So what you're supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is whatever that you do in your life is to come to that central point of balance, stability, justice, and right proportion in your thinking, in your feeling, and in your acting. So that Awaluddin Makrifatullah, the first thing that you should know is to know these five great questions exactly precisely, and by knowing that, it will come to that point of knowing the Creator. Right? So once you know the Creator, then you know everything that around you, yourself, and anything around you is pointing to Him. Now that will lead to the point of constantly affirming Him.
Connection with Him.
Yes. So that's why Awaluddin Ma'rifatullah. So the first thing in your life journey or your life activity is knowing that the one that brought about everything. So that element of appreciation, element of gratitude, element of connectivity or connection can constantly be reinforced. But if you pull out that knowing Him first, then what you lack is just what you see, the material world, which is the state of the world today, which should knock people out of balance from being in the state of delicate balance between doing and surrender. Because once you embrace this knowing Him through that five question, then you will develop a scale of life in the state of doing and surrender. Surrender and doing. So that's more relaxed. So that's a good model to be, because most people now are functioning at the level of just doing, no surrender. Or someone may just surrender, not doing at all. So the model of prophethood is about educating or teaching or learning to come to that point of delicate balance between doing and surrender. So just like the day and night. So the day is more doing and the night is more surrender. So you combine those two. Okay? So when you do something, so outwardly you're doing something, but inwardly there is an element of surrendering to that, the one that you know, the source, the all-powerful, the all-merciful, the all-knowing, all-wise, all-powerful, merciful, compassionate being, that absolute intelligence. Okay, so once you know, then you know that the one that governs everything is Him. That will lead you towards affirming Him, and that affirming Him will lead you towards surrender to Him while doing whatever that you do in your daily life activity. So hopefully that benefit with that question.
This question will be,
Yes.
which should it be fear first? Or fear Allah or love Allah?
Okay. So it's a great question. So fear and love, or fear and hope. This element of fear and hope is human phenomenon, because human being at its center is always about fear and hope and fear, which is the aspect of motivation. Okay, so you get motivated because you have high hope. Dismotivate because you have more fear than hope. So these two elements, fear and hope and fear. So the first question that you asked just now is knowing the source, knowing the origin, and knowing the ownership. Okay, and knowing, how you know what you know is connected to the tradition of prophethood, which is tradition of delicate balance between doing and surrender, tradition of combination between the external, the inner, and the inner of the inner combined together at center point, at constant level. Okay, so that fear and hope and fear, the moment your knowledge is connect towards that knowing him, knowing that greater being, then it's only natural it's going to impact your state, that lesser being, that fear and hope and fear is going to be your main motivation. Okay, and you tend to have more love than fear.
So is that good for us?
Yes, I mean, fear, it depends. If you talk about fear is more negative fear, then it's not good. If fear is more bringing you towards more precautious, more alert, more aware, and more motivate and more strength, that's good. Sometimes what happens when the fear kick in, so our fear is more very much connected to the material fear. So that kind of fear, of course, is not good. But fear we're talking about is not that kind of fear. Fear in the sense that it bring up, it uprise your conscious at a good level. Okay, so it's just like if you alert of something, so that alertness of danger, it make you prepared more. Okay, so fear and hope and fear is a central aspect of any psyche. So everyone have fear in them, everyone have hope in them. But it just looks like nowadays that we have been bombarded more fear than hope. See, so it should be hope is there, but fear just follow up just to make sure that don't overconfidence, because if you're overconfident, then you lost balance too. So it's too much hope, no fear, so it's not good. So too much fear, less hope, also not good. So you have to look any circumstances, any situation, you have to look, because not every situation and circumstances is the same situation and circumstances. So you have to contemplate, you have to ponder. In this situation, in these circumstances, if this fear is rising up, is it good for me? Is it doing any good to me? Is it supporting my journey, or is it destroying me? Ask yourself those great questions. If destroyed you, no need to pay attention to that. And bring more the word, the sentence that bring out more hope rather than fear. Okay, so knowledge, knowing, it really play a major role of influence or cultivate our state of fear and hope. It's always like that, because if you fall in love, you not just hope. There is fear that you might do something wrong and your lover might go. So not too fear to the point you knock yourself out of balance. So I think that is very healthy aspect of life, to have fear and hope. But as we said earlier, the age that we're living in now is more fear than hope. So that, I think we have to look why you fear so much. Is it your fear is more connected to us, your previous experience, sad sorrow of the past, that will lead to fear of the future. Then you can't function, because you have trapped emotion in you that connect to us whatever has happened in your life, that always bring this insecure fear. So you have to look at that. So I think that's a great question about fear and hope.
So just now she said that we need to have more love than fear.
Yeah, it's only natural, because at the center of knowing God and knowing Allah, okay, and the Prophet been sent from Allah, from God, okay, it is about love.
Yeah.
Okay, for love, you come without you, and I come without you. So
Okay, can you define that?
So you come without you, the idea of you, that what veil the love. Because you too much concentrate, that self-centered.
Yeah.
You can't experience when you disappear. If I pull out a bunch of beautiful flower, show it to you. When you see that flower, a split second, you forget everything. Okay, then that energy flow rise up. Wow, that it allows you to express that beauty, that bounty, that perfection. Okay, that's love. But if you come start to rationalize what flower, why he pull out the flower, what kind of flower is that, then you begin to cut off this world of experience, isn't it? So for love, you come without you, and I come without me. That's what Rumi says. That's from Rumi. Okay.
So the next question will be, how do you love Allah?
Okay. So knowing Him, the greater being, versus the lesser being, and looking at that greater being manifesting everything that you see, that beauty, bounty, perfection, order, balance, symmetry, art, design, you are constantly bombarded with His work. You know, if you attribute all those work towards Him, nothing but Him, just pure Him, come on. If you accept, believe, surrender that reality, that you are in this reality of this abundant variety, beauty, art, order, balance, symmetry, design, all this around you, that will lead you towards love, because that's display of love. You see, you fall in love because beauty, bounty, perfection, and permanency. So the one that fall in love will imagine the one that he fall in love is going to be with him forever. Then he can open that heart of love. So if you think the one that you fall in love is going to leave you one day or going to leave you tomorrow, how can you open heart to love him or to love her? It's difficult. That's why love is connected to four quality. Beauty, you're witnessing that beauty, you're witnessing that bounty, you look at that element of perfection, and then there is an element of belief that is going to be with me, you know, ongoing. You know? Then the question is, who is permanent? That's why love, the spark of love, what you experience here, is going to connect yourself with that true love. That's the nature. It will connect you to that source. That's the nature of love. Because most of us go through life, we fall in love, but then we tend to concentrate on that very literal, very what you can see, the outward form. See, that's why it doesn't last long. Most people get hurt. See, so to find that delicate balance, falling in love, and to connect to that true love, at the same time, you know, treat that secondary lover as what to be treated. You to find that delicate balance, you know. So that's important, and that's where true knowledge of prophethood will nurture you, will cultivate your thinking, feeling, and acting at that center point of balance, stability, justice, and right proportion. In engaging with the world that you're living in, with anybody, let it be with the animal kingdom, or human kingdom, or the green kingdom. So you interact at the good level, because that's the nature of the teaching of prophethood. It really nurtures you, it really cultivates you to that center point of true love. See? Yeah. That suffices you.
Yeah. Just now you said that we need to have this in ourselves that belong to Him.
Yeah.
The connection with Him.
Yeah.
So that we can feel the love.
Yeah.
From Him and to Him.
Yeah, because the moment you learn that first, knowing Him, so the idea of learning, knowing Him the first is that you come to conclusion everything is absolutely from Him. So that greatest affirmation, that's why first affirmation in the prophetic tradition is that you declare Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. So I witnessing. So this Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. When you say illallah, you affirm that illallah. You go to the heart. Okay? And then this finger, you rise up illallah, and your eyes witness your finger. So to train that eye witnessing about what you express, this is a very small zone, so that you can apply to the bigger zone, that everything is witnessing the reality of oneness and unity, and the reality of messengership. You see, these two reality, prophethood and that greater being. So that's why it is the way of prophethood, is that when you say that declaration, it's sunnah to look at that. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear a witness. There is no God that worthy to be worshipped but Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Okay? So the idea of two elements there, the unseen, which is God, and the seen, which is the prophet. So the prophet to be seen as the means to understand the unseen world. So you're really training your thinking and your eyewitnessing and what you articulate, which is knowledge, which is thinking, and affirming the greatest affirmation of your life. The greatest affirmation that you affirm every time is to reinforce that reality within the greater being and the lesser being. You constantly reinforce so that you have deep anchoring to him, not other than him. For other than him, it's just a means towards him. It's beauty.
Our next question is, what is Shariat, Tareqat, and Hakikat?
Okay, so Sharia, Tareqat, and Hakikat. So Sharia is a knowledge, it's a sciences that explain about your external aspect. The Sharia. Okay, Tareqat explain about the inner aspect.
The Sharia is more for the jasa.
Therefore, not for the. Is about explain how you deal with outward world.
All right.
Okay, so the external, whatever dealing with external, you learn the science called Sharia. And then whatever that you want to understand, you want to cultivate, you want to mold, you want to nurture the inner, then you learn Tareqat. Whatever that you want to, whenever you want to cultivate or you want to nurture the inner of the inner, then you learn Hakikat. So Hakikat is reality. So Tareqat is the path, and Sharia is what been arranged at the global sand. See, so yes, mainly, sometimes we often hear when you say about Sharia, you're talking about law and law. But it is not just law and law, because law and law come driven out from that greater being, which is pure love. You see, it's just like the mother say to the kids or say to the children, really firm, don't do that, and you do that. So it's about love. It's about to secure the child. See, and all is about safety. It's about security and safety. Because if you look at a traffic law, is not to make your life difficult. It's out of the essence of safety and security. If you break that law, then you're in trouble. So Sharia, Tareqat, and Hakikat. So Sharia is that you worship him, Tareqat that you aim for him, and Hakikat is that you witnessing him. Shariatu an ta'budahu, Tareqatu an taqsidahu, Hakiqatu an tashhadahu. So Sharia, you worship him, Tareqat, you aim for him, and then Hakikat, you witnessing him. So these three knowledge. So you have that Tauhid, Fiqh, and Tasawwuf. It's always constantly. So when you talk about tradition of human that is civilized, human that which is advanced, it is always about cultivating these three elements, three aspects, which is your external, the inner, and the inner of the inner. And how do you cultivate that? That's where you learn these three knowledge: Tauhid, Fiqh, and Tasawwuf. So Tauhid is about nurturing your thinking mind. Tasawwuf, nurturing about your feeling, your emotional intelligence. And then that Fiqh, nurturing about your action.
The next question is, what is the difference between Tareqat and Tasawwuf?
Okay. So Tareqat is the pathway. Tasawwuf is a knowledge that make you come to that affirmation of reality at a constant level. So when you have achieved the reality of Tasawwuf, is that anywhere you cannot turn to anyone but him. So if you arrive to the reality of Tauhid, you cannot do anything only by him. If you come to the reality of Fiqh or Islam, then you will not lack of energy or interest or strength to do his commandment. Okay, so these three reality, these three sciences, these three knowledge is always nurturing our growth. It's always. So if your thinking mind always connect with these three aspects of knowledge, you're always in that growth and repair, constant. Any circumstances, any situation that you're facing, let it be good, bad, sweet, bitter, difficult, easy, as the nature of life, but all those situations, it does not make you confused, but rather it makes you grow. That's the beauty of having Sharia, Tareqat, and Hakikat. You see? That's so important because this knowledge is so essential in life journey.
The next one will be, for someone new to Islam, we should be study first, Tauhid or Fiqh?
Of course, any situation, any person, any circumstance, when you talk about knowledge, you know that Tauhid element is always first, but that does not rule out Fiqh, that does not rule out Tasawwuf, because it always hand in hand. See, it's just like you have the physical side, you have the limbs, you have the organ, and you have the spirit, the soul. See, and when you're looking at the healthy human being, is always the three always been taken care of. Okay, so it's so difficult to say, okay, which first, which second. If you talk, then maybe you can say, okay, this first, that second, that third, in expression. But you know what, in daily life situation, at facing life reality, it's not about that first, second, third. It's always constant. You always, Tawhid is there, Fiqh is there, Tasawwuf is there. See? But when you learn, of course, okay, you learn this today, lesson of Tawhid. But that does not mean you neglect the lesson of Fiqh, the lesson of knowing the greater being versus the lesser being. Okay, how do you know him? What is his name? What is his attribute? So you learn about all that. So once you know that, that does not mean that sometime you have any other time you learn about, you know, what to do. Okay, so that's about Fiqh. Okay, so and then you learn about Tasawwuf, how to mold, to cultivate your emotion. So thinking, feeling, and acting. Sharia, Tareqat, and Hakikat. Iman, Islam, and Ihsan. So these three is always constant. Like a tree, you have the roots, that's Tawhid. The trunk, branch, that is the Fiqh. The leaf, flower, and the fruit, that's the Tasawwuf. See, so it's always there. Look at your environment. So always you see those three elements. 3D, isn't it? So that's what it is. Then you have, you know, complete satisfaction.
Yes, our next question is, what is the meaning of Istiqamah and how do you attain it?
Okay, so Istiqamah, when you look about be constant in anything, so that's connect again about knowing him. So when you know him, only natural when you know him, the greatest, the omnipotent, you know him in that way. So when you know him that way, so that will allow you to, you know, develop a sense of connectivity or connection with him through other than him. So that constant dhikrul mahbub, constant, so tafakkur about his zat, his essence, and his sifat and his af'al, which is about his work, this, that what we talked earlier about, this transformation, abundant, variety, beauty, art, order, balance, symmetry, you're surrounding with this, all this pointing to him, his being. So that kind of thinking, so it's only natural you would cultivate your constant remembrance is with him. You see, because you are human being and part of your essential state is constant remembrance. But the question is, upon what are you remembering? See that Tauhid, that knowing him, left no space. You come to that, when you see anything, that thing, if you see, if you not connect to him, it's not worthy. If you can see that flower and you forget the one that present that flower, oh, come on. Your mind couldn't accept that. If you can see the beauty in that flower, what about the source of that beauty? More. And for he have displayed that beauty in that flower, it's going to go in a second. For you to know that permanent beauty is him. So what you can see in the world, just a pale shadow of the shadow of the shadow of that real beauty, bounty, and perfection. So once you come to that point of conclusion, so that constant remembrance will trigger in yourself, that dhikrul mahbub. Okay? That remembrance constant about him, when it start to reinforce in your heart, reinforce in your mind, your movement, everything that you do, your central remembrance is him. That will lead towards love. And that love, because anyone that you love, you remember the most. Okay? And love, an element of remembrance, you cannot dismiss those two. Okay? Now that leads towards love. And love will lead towards your one. You have no one apart what the lover wants. Okay? So when that interest, any interest nothing to do with the lover, you have no interest. That will lead you istiqamah. Okay? So contemplation, knowing of him, remembering of him, love him, and then this interest, nothing to do with him, you have no interest. So once that interest, that one, that inclination only with him, that's constant then. There's a person that fall in love, he always constant with the lover. Okay? So that's where istiqamah rise up. But because our knowledge does not provoke that constant remembrance, okay, and that constant remembrance more towards the material world, you can't achieve istiqamah. Constancy. So constancy is very much connected. The beginning is tafakkur, contemplation, okay, and then it will lead towards dhikrul mahbub, remembering him, and then will lead towards knowing him, yes, at that level of experiential, and then loving him, and then the date of want. So your want, your desire, that nothing to do with him, you die down. So you have strong desire, strong urge, strong want, and then everything that what you want is to do with him. So that's istiqamah, because you're constantly want what he wants. Okay, so then you will be constancy. That is a step to get to that constancy. Okay, and how you see everything constant from him, that reinforce constant with him. How you see everything manifest him is the one that permanent is constant. That reinforce a state of constant in your act, in your thinking, in your feeling, in your action. It's just like the lover see everything pointing to the lover. Everything you see point. How can he not be constant with the lover? If the surrounding, if the environment, everything pointing to that source, to that lover, that abundant variety, beauty, art, order, balance, symmetry, art, design, not just knowing, but knowing to be. You see, not just thought process. It's about being. It's about looking, what you know at that alimul yaqeen, knowing at the level of certainty, and then witnessing, ainul yaqeen, ilmul yaqeen, ainul yaqeen, witnessing exactly precisely what you know. And then it will provoke that haqqul yaqeen, experiential, okay, experience, feeling it exactly precisely what you see, exactly precisely what you know. So that knowing, seeing, and experiencing. So ilmul yaqeen, ainul yaqeen, haqqul yaqeen. So this is constant. That's constant. It's not one day job. You constantly remind who you want to be, who you don't want to be, that you being. So start to look at yourself, that being that you don't want to be, that nothing to do with your life journey. Start to rule that one out slowly and gradually. So you need a teacher. Okay? You need a teacher. Without a teacher, It's difficult, especially living this age. So when you have a guide, when you have a teacher, you can, you can talk to him, explain your state, and slowly he will mold, he will nurture you, he will cultivate you, give you right letters, word, sentence that really can shape you, that really can bring you up, to bring you up at the level of Sharia, Tareqat, Hakikat, Islam, Iman, Ahsan, outward, inward, and inward of the inward. So you mold nicely. Because the real teacher, also have a teacher that been nurtures under the feet of that teacher. And that teacher been nurtured by under the feet of that teacher of the teacher. So we have this tradition of unbroken chain back to the Prophet. It's not just taking from the book, from the internet, from YouTube. No. Our tradition is oral tradition. Unbroken chain. We have that people that have see messenger of God. See? So you need a teacher in one respect. Without teacher, you can't.
This will be our last question. Can you learn Islam without a teacher?
That already.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's already answered.
Yeah, so that's good.
So,
So once you're clear about that, then it's just a matter of to align yourself with that direction. Okay? So you can keep remind yourself about the reality of life. It's not just about the inner. It's not just about the inner of the inner. Rather, it's about external and the inner and the inner of the inner. So when you have real knowledge, first impact is the inner, which is connected with your intention. Now that intention, when it shoot out, it become external. When it shoot in, it become inner of the inner. So this 3 dimension begin at the center point of your intent. Okay, that intention, when it shoot out, when it manifests out, it becomes Sharia. When it stay in, it becomes Tareqat. When it shoot in, then it becomes Hakikat. So now these 3 develop. Okay, that's how you grow through life. So seek knowledge. Don't become lazy. Don't be lazy. Don't follow your feeling that is not supporting you to seeking those knowledge. Okay, remove all the hurdles and obstacles that's stopping you towards that, that happy joy and peace and tranquility of life. Observe all the time what helps, what doesn't help. That's so important, because whatever that you learn in terms of Sharia, Tariqah, and Hakikat, Islam, Iman, Ahsan, which nurturing your thinking, your feeling, and your acting, yes, all is about to come to that natural need of human society, which is security and safety and peace and felicities. Okay, so that security and safety, which connect with Iman, Tauhid, and peace, which connect with Islam and Fiqh, and felicities, which is connected with Tasawwuf and Ahsan. So it's in your inborn, you're one this, you're crying for that, and the Prophet has been sent for that, so that you don't get confused. And he represents that greater being. So maybe some other sciences, some other knowledge can explain about that, but then that explanation, is it reinforce the tradition of prophethood? Okay, that's important, because otherwise, thinking mind can explain in any angle, and it can be seen right in one sense, but if you go to the other side, we have a problem. But when you talk about tradition, then it really holistic, it works, because the Ottoman Empire 600 years preserved everything. It works. So hopefully that explain can benefit you and benefit everyone that listening to the talk. And inshallah, when the right time, you can connect again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for having this talk with us, and then we really hope that we can have another session with Shaykh. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.